Jamming with History, a Sundersized fanfiction by I Love Living My Dreams. A magical trip. Leaving? Virgil asked, looking at Roman confused as they followed Felipe through the crowds. The shoot. We're leaving a week early, apparently, Roman mused. Something weather, something availability. You get the gist. Don't worry, Virgil, your education is taken care of along with Roman's. My brother and his wife have taken him on impromptu trips before, and his quid has never had to suffer for it, Felipe assured him as they broke free from the guards and headed towards their parking spot. But what about... Roman guessed what Virgil was worried about. I'm sure my parents have contacted Remy and your coach about the plans as well. He was cut off by the sound of his phone buzzing. It was Remy. He texted him a training schedule for upkeep. See? He said as he showed Virgil the text. At that, Virgil relaxed and allowed Roman to guide him to the car. Roman had some other plans that would have to be moved up, though, and he wouldn't be able to meet up with his friends to get their help. And calling over the next week would be hard without risking Virgil finding out what he was up to. So, when Virgil settled into the back seat and Roman in the front, the young scheming romantic took out his phone and sent a message to Clara. See, I need your help with my proposal to you know who. Lucky for him, the answer was near immediate. Oh my God, finally! Tell me everything! What's up? Virgil asked, curiously from the back seat. Oh, I thought try to see if I could sweet talk my way out of a few days of training. Roman fibbed. He didn't like lying. But when it was a surprise, Virgil agreed it was okay, considering the intent was to be truthful in the end. Careful you don't end up with extra work, Virgil teased. Roman chuckled. Let me worry about that. He shot back as he typed in his answer to Clara and listed what he'd need. After a bit more back and forth with some more teasing and congratulations and encouragement, he put his phone away. Well, there was nothing gained but nothing lost, so overall, a win for me, he concluded. Lucky, Virgil scoffed. If I tried to get out of training, I'd be swimming an extra mile. Aw, jealous? Roman teased. No, because I wouldn't wuss out of training to begin with anyway, Virgil countered playfully. How is training going for you, by the way? Tio Felipe wondered. Well, it's only been a little over a month, but I feel like there's a difference, Roman pointed out. It takes more before I feel like I'm dying, at least, he explained. He's being modest. I hear he's doing great for someone who's never been serious about exercise before. He's a lot tougher than he looks, Virgil jumped in. That's mi ahijado, Felipe grinned proudly. Allowing you two to meet might have been a bad idea, Roman muttered embarrassedly. Ah, sobrinito, as if you could have kept me away from your charming friend for long. From what I've seen and been told, I'm going to want to keep my eye on him regardless, his eccentric but business-savvy uncle explained. Wait, did you introduce me to Miss Ledecky on purpose? Virgil asked a little baffled. Felipe smirked with a playful twinkle in his eyes. Well, I don't think you can introduce people by accident, he pointed out. But if you want to know if I invited her to join me at the Ferris wheel because you two share a passion, then yes. Virgil blushed and sank into his seat like he wished the turtleneck would hide him. I wouldn't say passion, he muttered. Are you not in that pool most days of the week? The entrepreneur wondered. Well, yeah, Virgil admitted. Connecting with interesting people is never a bad thing, Virgil. I excel at making introductions. It is up to my introducees to decide what to do with the bridges I forge. Virgil pursed his lips. I guess, he allowed. What else are we doing today, Tio? It's only 4 in the afternoon, so we got 2 hours to kill before dinner. Roman nodded, changing the subject since Virgil seemed uncomfortable talking more about the networking stuff. Yeah, well, it is a surprise, but I am fairly certain you boys will be over the moon with what I got in store for you, Tio Felipe stated smugly. He was really in his element with the new face to impress. Is he always like this? Virgil wondered. He is always sort of working, which means he is busy networking and seeing new sights to tell his networking people about over glasses of champagne and business deals. It's how he's so successful. So when he visits, it's bring your nephew to work day. Except work is mostly doing cool stuff, Roman grinned. His uncle had a pretty cool job. Guess it's an uncle thing. Virgil grinned fondly. Roman thought of paranoia and how she was modified by Virgil's uncles. Likely a gift from them. One of no doubt many. Roman could see the four men he'd met to be in friendly competition for the coolest uncle title. Damn right it is, Tio Felipe grinned. By the way, I've been meaning to ask about that Hermes guy. Roman knew what was coming, but he allowed his uncle to quiz them both on their presentation for the rest of the ride until. And here we are! Feast your eyes on this, boys! This was a big open field with a fire truck with a helicopter in the middle of it. Shut up, his guest gasped. Theo! Roman added incredulous. Ready to get a bird's eye view of our city? Felipe grinned. The boys looked at each other with wide eyes, as if to check with one another that they were seeing the same thing. After a moment, they turned to their chaperone. Bring it on, Virgil announced as Roman nodded eagerly. Let's go. Jerome is waiting, Felipe announced. They were led to the helicopter and introduced to the sturdy ex-military man named Jerome, who seemed to be old friends with Felipe as well, as per usual. Roman had no clue how his uncle was so easily liked by everyone he met. Jerome helped them put on their headsets that would protect their ears while at the same time allowing them to talk to one another. He explained to them that they toured their town and surrounding area to spot some cool sights and land as close to the place Roman's uncle had booked for them for dinner as he could. They got inside and strapped themselves in. Jerome checked to see if they were actually secure and if their headsets were properly protecting their ears. They did a quick sound test. Virgil had a little fun with it to make Roman laugh. It worked. How could he not laugh when Virgil looked at him with such eager expectation? Virgil testing, Virgil come in. Silence. Virgil, is your mic working? And then Virgil, looking straight at Roman with that playful grin of his, playful lights twinkling in his eyes. I can hear you, but I won't. Roman guffawed. Very cute, you two. Jerome nodded as he settled in his seat. Come on, my friends, let's go into the unknown, Felipe declared playfully. Roman and Virgil grinned at each other and pretended to belt into the unknown together. Pretend, because they didn't want to accidentally blow eardrums by screaming into their minds. Jerome chuckled and shook his head. Now I've got three of them, he muttered. And then the blades started spinning, and they could feel the helicopter leaving the ground. This is so awesome! Virgil exclaimed with a wide grin looking out the window as the ground got further and further away from them. Roman noticed the dead grip Virgil had on his harness, though. Virgil was excited, but also well beyond just nervous. You okay? He asked gently. Virgil looked at him a little sheepishly. Yeah, just first time flying, he shrugged. Ah, well, that explained it. No worries, Virgil. Jerome has flown through enemy airspace, dodging rockets left and right. He'll get us safe on the ground, no problem, Tio Felipe announced. Virgil relaxed a little. Yeah, I know we'll be fine, he nodded. Roman glanced outside. They were a good bit in the air now. If only he could spot a proper change of topic. There! Hey, I think that's the Ferris wheel, he announced. What? Virgil called, leaning over and as much as the harness allowed to see what he was talking about. Oh my god, I think you're right. he exclaimed. They spent the rest of their time in the air pointing out landmarks and neighborhoods they recognized, and while Roman was pretty excited about his first helicopter flight, he was nowhere as elated as Virgil. Virgil had gone from gripping his harness to gripping whatever part of Roman's arm was most convenient to hold on to. Not that Roman minded one bit. Too soon Roman noticed they were descending. Wow, time for dinner already? Virgil wondered as he settled more into his seat. Certainly is. Thanks for the ride again, Jerome. You're a gem, Felipe stated as the aircraft touched down. Always a pleasure, Pip. Always a pleasure, Pip. Always a pleasure. Jerome assured him warmly. Felipe showed them where to put their helmets and made sure they were secure before they got up and hurried away from the landing spot. Felipe reaching backward so he could wave at his friend while he started to take off again. Once the heli was in the air, Felipe turned to them with a grin. Let's see what Sienna has in store for us today, shall we? He offered as he led them both to the building that stood next to the sea clearing, with a terrace reaching a bit over the lake. That looks like a fancy place, Virgil nodded. No worries, Roman whispered as he hooked their arms together and guided Virgil to the front door. Sienna was waiting on them at the door with a big smile on her face. She embraced Tio Felipe and gave him 3 enthusiastic kisses on the cheek. You aren't around town nearly enough, Pip, she announced in a playful, accusing way. I hear that everywhere I go, Sienna dear, and you know that will always be home base for me, Felipe pointed out. Sienna nodded and glanced at Roman with a warm understanding. Home is where the heart is, she noted, before looking at Virgil. I can of course recognize any member of the Fernandez family from miles by now, but you are a new face. Yet I have seen you before, she mused. Virgil is my best friend. He took me out shopping for my birthday, so... The woman nodded. I see. Well, any friends of the Fernandez family is more than welcome here. I'll take your treat to the usual table, she announced. That would be wonderful, Felipe nodded, as they followed Sienna through the building to the terrace where a table near the water was being set up. Roman held a chair back for Virgil, who blushed as he thanked him and sat down. Then the red-wearing skater looked at the menu and frowned. Don't bother asking for the prices. None of the menus here list them, and as a guest, you won't be told, Roman pointed out, guessing what had Virgil so confused. Virgil pouted but didn't comment otherwise. They looked through their menus for a moment before simultaneously putting them down. He was grinning at them. He hadn't even glanced at his menu. You boys made that decision then? He asked. They nodded. I see you 3 are ready to order. Philip, you want a Cedar salmon? The young man who seemingly appeared at their table out of nowhere guessed with a playful smile. Timothy, what luck that you are working tonight. And yes, I've been craving it all week, Theo confirmed as he leaned back in his chair and handed Timothy his menu. Coming right up. And for you too? Their waiter asked as he turned to Roman and Virgil. The ribs, please? Virgil asked, a little nervous not knowing what the price was, it seemed. Excellent choice, Timothy nodded. For me, the potato and chicken gratin, please, Rowan told him, as he and Virgil handed him their menus. Wonderful. While you wait, can I get you anything to drink? Timothy wondered, as he took note of their orders. Orange juice, please, Virgil said. For me, a Coke, Roman added. You know what I like with my salmon. Also a pitcher of water, please, Felipe instructed. Timothy nodded and left them to enjoy the scenery. Well, I'm going to use the facilities. You two try not to fall into the lake, okay? Theo winked before leaving them be. So, everyone's just in love with your uncle, huh? Virgil observed. What? Roman asked, a bit surprised at that train of thought. I mean, every one of his friends that we've met, they just are all over him. In a way that makes me think that if he wanted to, he could get most of them to go on a date with him, Virgil elaborated. Roman thought on that for a moment. He supposed he had a point. Huh, I guess. I'm so used to people being like that around him, it never really occurred to me. But you might be right, he mused. Must run in the family, Virgil added absent-mindedly. Roman was fairly certain wasn't supposed to hear that, and thus didn't comment on it, though he wouldn't agree with Virgil. Sure, his dad has charisma to spare, but Virgil hadn't seen him, or his mother for that matter, work his magic on anyone yet. So Virgil had to be referring to him, and he wouldn't say he had that talent by a long shot. It was sweet, Virgil thought so though. This isn't exactly what we had planned for today. Hope you had fun anyway, Roman wondered. Virgil looked at him with a wide grin. You kidding? This was the coolest day ever. I can't wait to tell my family all about it. Your uncle is something else, Ro. Then his smile got just a tad more shy. Roman only noticed it because he was also always kinda looking for it ever since the idea of Virgil feeling the same settled in his mind. And no matter what we do, I always have fun while hanging with you, he admitted. Before Roman could come up with something to say to fluster him more, his uncle returned. Well, now that I got you to a captive audience, let's catch up. With that, Roman's uncle started telling Roman stories of his trips since the last time they saw each other. Theo Felipe was a great storyteller. Roman barely noticed their drinks or food arriving. It was a testament to how good the food was that he and Virgil even thought to comment on it before urging Felipe to continue his stories. He told of Paris and Tokyo and Mumbai and Seoul and many more incredible places. And then they got their complimentary dessert based on their choice of main course. Virgil was a big fan of sorbet. And finally Theo Filippo let them outside, where his car stood waiting with the driver leaning against it. Quinton, thank you so much for picking her up and giving us a ride. Felipe grinned as he hugged his driver. Of course, anything for a chance to drive one of your beauties, Quinton teased as he opened the door for Roman and Virgil. The two teens were a bit quiet as they were on the verge of a food coma. Roman let himself just enjoy that feeling as he watched his uncle talk animatedly with their driver. He knew where they were headed. He was looking forward to see the look on Virgil's face. And very soon it was that time. "Vi, we're here," Roman whispered as he nudged his friend. Virgil shot up. Clearly he'd been very close to dozing off, if not fully napping. Once he took in his surroundings, his eyes widened. "We're catching a flight?" he asked. "It's quite a bit faster than going by car," Roman shrugged, as the car pulled up to a stop and they both got out. "Felipe!" Roman's mother greeted as she embraced her brother-in-law and gave him a peck on his cheek. "Hermanito!" Lucas Fernandez exclaimed, embracing his brother as soon as his wife let go of him. "It saddens me that we have to leave just as you arrive. I hope you stay long enough for us to say proper hello," he wondered. "Ah, hermano, of course. I'll extend my stay as long as I can," Felipe promised as he clapped his brother on the back. When he turned to Roman and ruffled his hair. "You have fun, okay? See you when you get back. Now I gotta go. There's a party I'm throwing and I'm already more than fashionably late," he winked, before getting in the car and letting Quinton drive off as he waved at them. Once he was out of sight, Roman's father addressed them. "Well, Virgil, let's get on the plane and introduce you to your fellow models, shall we?" he suggested. Virgil nodded and followed them closely. Roman could see the confusion his confusion as they followed a different route than the arrows at the airport indicated, only for his eyes to widen in instant realization as they approached the private jet that was waiting for them. "No way," he whispered. "Yes way," Roman grinned as he took him by the arm and led him to the front of the plane, where the stairs were lowered for them to climb aboard. Virgil hesitated a little at the start of the steps, but when Roman looked back and they locked eyes, he offered him a small smile, and followed him up anyways. "Wow," he breathed as he saw the luxurious interior. It was kind of more like a living room than an airplane cabin. Inside there were four other people, most a bit older than them, but not by much. Early to mid-20s. The rest of the models are already settling in at the hotel, Roman's mom announced, as she and his dad joined them. Virgil, Roman, meet Dawn, Connor, Delilah, and Finn. They are going to be working with you over the coming week, Virgil, he explained. Virgil waved at them. Hi. You'll have plenty of time to get to know one another later. You look like you still need a nap, Roman pointed out teasingly. Virgil scoffed and gave him a shove. Speak for yourself. I'm fit as a fiddle, he argued. Sure, Roman chuckled. Everyone, please take your seats. We need to take off now if we want to make it to our destination in time, the pilot announced for over the intercom. They got settled into next to one another. Roman let Virgil have the window seat as he was his guest, so he should get a better seat. Virgil had learned not to argue by now. Or maybe he simply didn't have the energy for it. Once they were properly in the air, Virgil did start to make some small talk with his fellow models. Dawn and Finn had worked for Roman's parents before. Connor and Delilah were new to the job. His mother had met Connor at a coffee shop, and Delilah was spotted by his dad at her parents' flower shop. Dawn was scouted as an actual model, and Finn had been getting into the social media influencer scene. The models that worked for his family were always a mixed bunch of seemingly random people and people who pursued the promotion industry as a career on purpose. They all seemed nice and excited for the trip, and sworn to secrecy on their destination, much to Virgil's frustration and Roman's amusement. Luckily, the flight was only an hour long. Near the end, Roman noticed Virgil was getting a bit more thoughtful. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I've just never been away from my parents this long, without talking to them. I just hope my mom's not too worried, he shrugged. Maybe you can make them a video message? Get all the important bits out before you call them later? Then they already know you are doing well and you don't have to reassure them and stuff, Roman suggested. Virgil thought on that for a minute and then nodded. Yeah, he muttered, and then he took out his phone. Hi everyone, get this, I'm filming this on a private plane. How cool is that? And if you are impressed by that, just wait until you hear the day we've had, he announced to his camera. He continued to talk about the fare and the helicopter ride and the restaurants and how good the food was and how much fun he'd had. Then the captain made an announcement. Good evening, everyone. If you settle in and look out the windows, you will see our destination approaching from the left side of the plane. Virgil perked up and glanced outside, aiming his camera so his family could see what he saw. Is that? Oh my God! Eat your heart out, Thomas! Look at this! He exclaimed. Roman chuckled and leaned over so he too could see the fireworks lighting up the magical land known as Disney World. Okay, guys, hope you liked this one. I do not know what those accents were. I hope I didn't insult anyone. I just wanted to make the cast a little bit more colorful, I guess. Next chapter next week, so I'll see you then. Bye!